side and would've tried, but when I held that 9, all I could see was my mama's eyes. No one knows my struggle, they only see the trouble, not knowing it's hard to carry on when no one loves you. Picture me inside the misery of poverty. No man alive has ever witnessed struggles I survived. Praying hard for better days, promise to hold on. Me and my dogs ain't have a choice but to roll on. We found a folly spot to kick it, where we can drink liquor and no one bickers over trick shit. A spot where we can smoke in peace, and even though we cheat, we still visualize.
TUPAC Amaru Shakur, born Laisane Parish Crooks, June 16th, 1971, September 13th, 1996, also known by his stage names TUPAC and Machiavelli, was an American rapper and actor. Shakur sold over 75 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling music artists of all time. His double disc albums All Eyes on Me 1996 and his greatest hits 1998 are among the best-selling albums in the United States. Shakur is consistently ranked as one of the greatest and most influential rappers of all time, and he has been listed and ranked as one of the greatest artists of any genre by many publications, including Rolling Stone, which ranked him 86th on its list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. On April 7, 2017, Shakur was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Shakur began his career as a roadie, backup dancer, and MC for the alternative hip-hop group Digital Underground, eventually branching off as a solo artist. Most of the themes in Shakur's songs revolved around the violence and hardship in inner cities, racism, and other social issues. Both of his parents and several other people in his family were members of the Black Panther Party, whose ideals were reflected in his songs. During the latter part of his career, Shakur was a vocal participant during the East Coast-West Coast hip-hop rivalry, becoming involved in conflicts with other rappers, producers, and record label staff members, most notably the Notorious B.I.G. and his label. Aside from his career in music, Shakur was also an actor, starring in 6 films and 1 TV show in the 1990s, including Poetic Justice, 1993, Gang-Related, 1997, and Gridlocked. On September 7, 1996, Shakur was fatally shot 4 times in a drive-by shooting at the intersection of Flamingo Road and Covell Lane in Las Vegas, Nevada. He was taken to University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, where he died from his injuries 6 days later. Shakur was born on June 16, 1971, into an African-American family in the East Harlem section of Manhattan in New York City. His birth name was Laisane Parish Crooks. The following year, he was renamed after TUPAC Amaru II, the 18th century Peruvian revolutionary who was executed after leading an indigenous uprising against Spanish rule. His parents, Afeni Shakur, born Alice Faye Williams in North Carolina, and Billy Garland, were active members of the Black Panther Party in New York in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Laisane was born a month after his mother was acquitted of more than 150 charges of conspiracy against the United States government and New York landmarks in the New York Panther 21 trial.
Many people in Shakur's life were involved with the Black Liberation Army. Some were convicted of serious criminal offenses and imprisoned, including his mother. His godfather, Elmer Geronimo Pratt, a high-ranking Black Panther, had been convicted of murdering a school teacher during a 1968 robbery, although his sentence was later overturned. His stepfather, Mutulu Shakur, spent for years at large on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list beginning in 1982. Mutulu was wanted for having helped his friend no relation. Assata Shakur, also known as Joan Chesimard, TUPAC's godmother, to escape from a penitentiary in New Jersey in 1979. She had been imprisoned since 1977 for killing a state trooper in 1973. She lived as a fugitive for several years before gaining asylum in Cuba in 1985. Mutulu was caught in 1986 and eventually convicted and sentenced to prison for the 1981 robbery of a Brinks armored truck, during which the police officers and a guard were killed. Shakur had an older stepbrother, Mopreme Kamani Shakur, and a half-sister, Sekiwa, 2 years his junior. Mopreme performed in many of his recordings. In 1986, the family moved from New York to Baltimore, Maryland. After completing his second year at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, Shakur transferred to the Baltimore School for the Arts. There he studied acting, poetry, jazz, and ballet. He performed in Shakespeare plays and in the role of the Mouse King in the ballet The Nutcracker. Shakur, accompanied by one of his friends, Dana Mouse Smith, as his beatbox, won many rap competitions and was considered to be the best rapper in his school. He was remembered as one of the most popular kids in his school because of his sense of humor, superior rapping skills, and ability to mix with all crowds. Shakur developed a close friendship with Jada Pinkett Smith that lasted until his death. In the documentary TUPAC, Resurrection, Shakur says, "Jada is my heart. She will be my friend for my whole life." Pinkett Smith calls him one of my best friends. He was like a brother. It was beyond friendship for us. The type of relationship we had, you only get that once in a lifetime. A poem written by Shakur titled Jada appears in his book, The Rose That Grew from Concrete, which also includes a poem dedicated to Pinkett Smith called The Tears in Cupid's Eyes. During his time in art school, Shakur became affiliated with the Baltimore Young Communist League USA. He began dating the daughter of the director of the local chapter of the Communist Party USA. In 1988, Shakur and his family moved from Baltimore to Marin City, California, a small unincorporated suburban community located 5 miles north of San Francisco. He attended Tamalpay High School in nearby Mill Valley.
Before using his first name as his rap name, Shakur went by the alias MC New York when starting his career in Baltimore. Although Shakur began recording in 1987, his professional entertainment career did not take off until the early 1990s when he debuted in Digital Underground's Same Song from the soundtrack to the 1991 film Nothing But Trouble, and also appeared with the group in the film. The song was later released as the lead song of the Digital Underground Extended Play EP. This is an EP release, the follow-up to their debut hit album Sex Packets. Shakur appeared in the accompanying music video. After his rap debut, he performed with Digital Underground again on the album Sons of the P. Shakur went on to feature Shock G and Money B from Digital Underground in his track I Get Around, which ranked number 11 on the US Billboard Hot 100. In November 1991, Shakur released his debut solo album, TUPAC LP Say Now. Though the album did not generate any hit singles, TUPAC LP Say Now has been acclaimed by many critics and fans for its underground feel, with many rappers such as Nas, Eminem, Game, and Talib Kweli having pointed to it as inspiration. Although the album was originally released on Interscope Records, the rights to its distribution are now owned by Amaru Entertainment, the label owned by Shakur's mother. The album's name is a reference to the 1979 film Apocalypse Now. In late 1993, Shakur formed the group Thug Life with a number of his friends, including Big Syke Tyrus Himes, Macadishus Duran Rivers, his stepbrother Mopreme Shakur, and the Rated R Walter Burns. The group released their only album Thug Life, Volume 1 on September 26, 1994, which went gold. The album featured the single Pour Out a Little Liquor, produced by Johnny J. Jackson, who went on to produce a large part of Shakur's album All Eyes on Me. The group usually performed their concerts without Shakur. The album was originally released by Shakur's label out, Da Gutta Records, though Amaru Entertainment has since gained the rights to it. Among the notable tracks are Bury Me a G, Cradle to the Grave, Pour Out a Little Liquor, which also appears on the soundtrack to the 1994 film Above the Rim, How Long Will They Mourn Me, and Star 8 Ballin. As a result of criticism of gangsta rap at the time, the original version of the album was scrapped and re-recorded, with many of the original songs being cut. The album contains 10 10 tracks because Interscope Records felt many of the other recorded songs were too controversial to release. Although the original version of the album was not completed, Shakur performed the planned first single from the album, Out on Bail, at the 1994 Source Awards. Thug Life, Volume 1 was certified gold. The track How Long Will They Mourn Me later appeared on TUPAC's posthumous Greatest Hits album. All Eyes on Me was the fourth studio album by TUPAC, recorded in October 1995 and released on February 13, 1996 by Death Row Records and Interscope Records. The album is frequently recognized as one of the crowning achievements of 1990 seconds rap music. Steve Huey of AllMusic stated that despite some undeniable filler, it is easily the best production TUPAC's ever had on record. It was certified 5 platinum after just 2 months in April 1996 and 9 platinum in 1998. The album featured the Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles How Do You Want It and California Love. It featured 5 singles in all, the most of any TUPAC album. Moreover, All Eyes on Me, which was the only Death Row release to be distributed through Polygram by way of Island Records, made history as the first double full-length hip-hop solo studio album released for mass consumption. It was issued on 2 compact discs and 4 LPs. Chart-wise, All Eyes on Me was the second album from TUPAC to hit #1 on both the Billboard 200 and the top R&B hip-hop albums charts. It sold 566,000 copies in the first week of its release and was charted in the top 100 for 1-week SoundScan sales since 1991. By the end of 1996, the album had sold 5 million copies. The album won the 1997 Soul Train R&B Soul or Rap Album of the Year award. Shakur also won the award for Favorite Rap Hip-Hop Artist at the 24th Annual American Music Awards. In October 1995, Shakur was released from prison after serving 9 months of a sentence for sexual assault and formed a new group called Outlaw Immortals. Shakur joined the Death Row label, under which he released the single California Love. On February 13, 1996, Shakur released his 4th solo album, All Eyes on Me. This double album was the first and second of his 3-album commitment to Death Row Records. It sold more than 9 million copies. The record was a general departure from the introspective subject matter of Me Against the World, being more oriented toward a thug and gangsta mentality. Shakur continued his recordings despite increasing problems at the Death Row label. Dr. Dre left his post as in-house producer to form his own label, Aftermath. Shakur continued to produce hundreds of tracks during his time at Death Row, most of which would be released on his posthumous album Still I Rise, Until the End of Time, Better Days, Loyal to the Game, and Pac's Life. He also began the process of recording an album, One Nation, with the New York-based Boot Camp Click and their label Duck Down Records.
On June 4, 1996, he and Outlaws released a diss track Hit 'Em Up, a scathing lyrical assault on the notorious B.I.G. and others associated with him. In the track, Shakur claimed to have had sexual intercourse with Faith Evans, the wife of Wallace, Shakur's former friend and rival, and attacked Bad Boy's street credibility. Shakur was convinced that some members associated with Bad Boy had known about the 1994 attack on him due to their behavior that night and the information that his sources gave to him. According to a 2005 interview with Jimmy Henchman in Vibe magazine, after the attack, Shakur immediately accused Henchman, an associate of Bad Boy CEO Sean Combs, of orchestrating the attack. Shakur, therefore, aligned himself with Suge, Death Row's CEO, who was already bitter toward Combs over a 1995 incident at the Platinum Club in Atlanta, Georgia, which culminated in the death of Jake Robles, the friend and bodyguard of Suge Knight. Knight was adamant in voicing his suspicions about Combs' involvement. In the years following their killings, associates of both Shakur and the notorious B.I.G. made comments indicating the pair, were it not for their deaths, would have reconciled. When Shakur recorded Hit 'Em Up, a diss song toward Biggie, he recruited 3 members from the former group, Dramicidal, with whom he had worked previously and was eager to do so again. Shakur, with the 3 New Jersey rappers and other associates, formed the original lineup of the Outlaws. When TUPAC signed to Death Row after his release from prison, he recruited stepbrother Mopram Shakur Hitler and Big Syke from Thug Life, Hussein Fatal, Napoleon, Idi Amin, Castro, Yaki Gaddafi, and Storm the only female outlaw were also added, and together they formed the original lineup of the Outlaw Immortals that debuted on TUPAC's multi-platinum smash All Eyes on Me. They later dropped the immortal part of their name after the untimely deaths of TUPAC and Yaki Gaddafi and moved on as outlaws without the members of Thug Life. Young Noble was later added and appeared on TUPAC's second Death Row release, The Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory. It was on TUPAC's Machiavelli album that Outlaws first came to the greater rap community's notice, appearing on a few songs. The idea behind the group was for each member to have a rap name coinciding with the names of various tyrants or enemies of America, past and present. Outlaws chose in later years to make a backronym out of the letters of their group name, operating under Thug Laws as Warriors, although it does not stand for the group's name, is used infrequently. IMDb Mini Biography by Ahmet Kozan.
And would have tried, but when I held that 9, all I could see was my mama's eyes. No one knows my struggle, they only see the trouble. Not knowing it's hard to carry on when no one loves you. Picture me inside the misery of poverty. No man alive has ever witnessed struggles I survived. Praying hard for better days, promise to hold on. Me and my dogs ain't have a choice but to roll on. We found a folly spot to kick it, where we can drink liquor and no one bickers over trick shit. A spot where we can smoke in peace, and even though we G's, we still visualize